Hello, everyone. Welcome to another segment of Table Talk. We have Nakia. Hey, girl.
How you doing? I'm doing good.
Good, and you? And we have Des as our guest host today. How you doing, Des?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. So, Des, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes. I'm a 38-year-old male who, right? who I'm currently in the Army. Been in 14 years, and I'm a motivational speaker, a coach, a mentor.
Cool.
So that's kind of the gist of what I do.
Is that what you do in the Army also?
Yes, I'm a recruiter. So we're coach, mentors,
And guides for
counselors.
you.
Yes.
Good. I was in the military. I'm retired. And the Army and the Navy did great things for me as far as teaching me discipline and motivating me to do some things with my life. How about you, Nick?
Yes, I concur. The Navy did do some things for me.
All in the positive.
Did some things for me.
Did it at least help with the bettering of your life?
Of course, absolutely. It
Yes.
definitely did. That it did. Yeah.
Well, Des, we would like to thank you for coming, and let's get started with our first topic. Our first topic is a young lady in Florida, 20 years old, was dating a 28-year-old man, and unfortunately, she left her son with the man for her first day of work, and the boyfriend of a year sodomized and beat her son to death. Showed up to pick her up from work with the son in the car seat, slumped over, deceased, and he had bruises on his face and everything. Nakia,
Yes.
what's your take on this?
It's very
Besides the
disturbing.
outrage.
It's very disturbing that it's starting to become a trend. As far as these young women, and there are adult women, leaving their kids with people they don't know, leaving their kids in vehicles when it's 20 degrees outside, to having to go to work. What's even more disturbing is we as women are dating men and we don't know anything about their background. And also something that you didn't mention was that the boyfriend's sister called to check on the boyfriend while he was watching the child. So to me, that's a telltale sign that you know something is not right. Because so either this man has never watched a child before,
Right.
or he need not be trusted with kids. Right. And if that's the case, then you should let that woman know from the time you knew that they were dating and she has a child. And also, he has 3 other
Assault charges.
on children.
And he was the other 3 assault charges were just assault charges. But he also has a charge where he was under investigation for doing something similar, assaulting another person's child. His family had to know this. Even if she didn't know, his family knew.
And that's why I felt that that's the reason why she called to check in on him to see how things were going, to make sure that that boy is still alive or whatever the case may be.
Or not beaten to death.
Right. So she felt that little boy and she felt that mom. And ultimately, if she would have spoke up, possibly the child still could be here.
What's your take, Des?
I think this is one of those is very tragic, and
All the way around tragedy.
when we're looking at we're losing another child to what we would consider ignorance. But ultimately, looking at the whole picture from what I've read in the story, I just believe that there's a lot of people at fault. But today we talk about how, a young mother has to go to a job trying to provide. But this is one of those things that I believe that you can put your kid. You can't. She's not making enough money to put her kid in proper care.
Yes.
And so I think it speaks volume to this economical system that we live in.
Exactly.
That doesn't provide aid to single mothers. So
Single parents, period.
single parents, period. Yes. So, and I just believe that we can look at the young man who beat the sodomized. Obviously, he wasn't right in his mind. But at the same token, we have to hold a lot of people responsible. And I just think, me personally, demonizing another black man doesn't really solve the ultimate problem. But
I have my ideas on the ultimate problem. I'm sure you have your ideas, Nakia. Can you quickly expound on your ideas of the ultimate problem?
I mean, the ultimate problem is proper parenting. I definitely believe just because someone has a child doesn't make them a parent. I think it takes a lot of education, and I think that comes from grandparents being involved also. But do I think this young lady was thinking that she was doing the wrong thing?
No.
I do not. I think she thought she was doing the best with the choices
what
she
she
had.
had.
She was making the best possible decision. And it just turned out, in this case, to be a bad decision.
But at the same time, once again, we need to stop being so quick to leave our kids with any and everybody.
Well, we can't say be so quick. She dated him for an entire year. So
That's true.
if I'm dating someone for an entire year, something has made me trust him. His interaction with my child or with other children. So my question is, what happened with the sister? The sister obviously knows him.
Wait a minute, before you even go to that, first of all, if I'm working, you going to work too. You're not
Agreed.
I'm not going to a new job. I'm not starting my first day at a new job and you babysitting. That means we both out here. So when I leave, you leave.
So now we have to find some childcare
Yeah.
for this baby.
And they are both from that in Florida. So that means they have family. So that means that
Friends.
and friends. So that means that you have to use your other resources that you have, not just him.
Okay, so I would say, and I didn't get to read the story in detail. So, do we know what day she was going to work on? If it's a Saturday, maybe he didn't work Saturday. So she thought that would be the best choice.
Well, okay, so according to the brief, the story, he's had pending charges, so we can say that he is a felon. So we can say that he does not have a job. We can assume that. I think it's safe to assume that he does not have a job. And I can bet you it was not a Saturday.
Well, one, I don't assume. I go by what facts, and the fact is, I do not know those things. I can't, so I don't want to assume.
Well, the fact is he did not have a job on that day.
Well, here's the fact.
Or he didn't have to
He
go to work on that
sodomized
day.
and killed a baby.
Yes.
That's the facts.
Right.
In my opinion, the bigger problem is the village. It takes a village to raise a child. We are African Americans, black, whatever you want to call us. And we've always stood by a village raising a child up until this last couple of generations, where you can't touch my child, don't discipline my child, don't say anything to my child, don't be telling me what my son doing. I already know. All that attitude. When do we get back to not only being my brother's keeper, but a village raising a child? If it was a requirement for her to bring that young man to meet her parents would have advised her, I'll keep him, or whatever. And if it's a requirement for him to be introduced to certain members of the family, certain members of the family can see things that I can't see because I'm in puppy love. and you can't see because you're drunk, and he can't see because he high or whatever, you know, there are still members in the family that see things that other people don't see, whether we have detrimental situations or not.
Okay.
So what about the village, the African American village? We as a community are failing each other too much. Not just the young black boys, the young black girls, because they're having babies and they laying down and doing whatever with everyone for no apparent reason, because Beyonce doesn't have anything on. They're not having anything on. Rihanna showed everything and twerked on stage. I should be able to do the same. You know, it's too much of everyone else, TV, games, videos, all are raising our children. When do we get back to taking care of our children, helping our children, motivating, encouraging? You're a mentor, you're a coach. How many times do you run across children that haven't had any help from their parents or the adults in their lives? How common is this?
Well, this is a very common thing. Running into young men who haven't had proper directions, running into young women who haven't had proper directions. And I think that comes from the parents not properly passing the baton to the kids. And when we don't pass that wisdom off to our kids have to be developed by things they see or things they believe to be right. These Rihannas, these Beyoncés. So they're living in this world because nobody properly passed the baton off. And in that passing, a lot of people believe they're passing, a lot of parents believe they're passing, but the kids are not receiving. So it may be a technique on how do we pass this education on. And I do believe that my generation, we have a lot to learn so we can pass it on to the younger generation. But was we properly passed the baton from our elders? No. Papa was a Rolling Stone. Papa halftime wasn't there, and we raised ourselves. And then we come to this point, so we're trying to raise other young men and women
with the best that we have.
With the best that we have. So it's not always effective, but I do believe the village is properly trying. I just think re-educating the village a little bit, I think, is always necessary.
I feel that there is no village. There is no village. There is no village. We just gonna keep it 100, as they say. We're gonna be honest. There is no village. Nobody is out here raising these kids. These kids is raising themselves. And back in the day, Papa wasn't at home because 9 out of 10 times he was working all these hours to provide for his family. And when he was not at home, if he was with Susie down the block, he still was making sure that his house was taken care of. It wasn't none of this ain't my baby, I'm not gonna support it, so bye, y'all on your own. It wasn't none of that in abundance that it is now. You know what I'm saying? Maury is like making so much money because you are not the father.
22
times. Yeah. I mean, that's ridiculous. Now that's the thing to do. I want to go to Maury and find out who my baby daddy is. I mean, that's not the thing to, I mean, and we can see that these people are not educated because they go up and look at the picture. Look at the picture. Look at them ears. We don't have the same ears. Really? And then they talking about DNA. One guy said sperm stay alive in the condom for 7 days. I was just like, I'm gonna need you not to talk in public because you sound real stupid right now. So, with the responsibility of breeding, because that's what we're doing. Okay. We're breeding. You have to also take the responsibility of educate yourself so that you can have something to pass on to your kids.
But education is not pushed anymore. Education is not pushed.
This is true.
Because the teachers are underpaid, the children are undisciplined, and the parents don't want anyone saying anything to their children. And everybody has a goal to meet.
But you know what?
Which is
but in a way, yes and no, because my kids go to school, and I want the teacher to contact me when my minions are being destructive to any other kids. But I guess you have so many disgruntled moms that the teachers assume every mom is like that. So when your child misbehaves, they don't call you. You know what I'm saying? You have to either walk up to the school and check in and say, hey, what's going on? Or just happen to hear from your child or another child. Because these teachers feel, I'm gathering that, like you saying, mothers are saying, I know what my child is doing. Don't tell me what my child is doing. My child can't do no wrong, blah, blah, blah. But I'm not, don't put me in that bucket with them. I want to know, when my child is doing something wrong, I'm going to check them.
Well,
Well, to your
that's
point-
you, because you have taken the time to go up and let this teacher know. You know, I take that time too, but a lot of parents don't even show up for parent-teacher conferences. They don't show up to meet their teachers. They never meet their children's teacher. And I heard this personally from numerous teachers, African American teachers, who are fighting for the children, yet they get no assistance, no help, and when they finally do call the parents, they get attitude.
Okay, so
and I'm
wait a
gonna give you an example.
So,
Let me
Go ahead.
give you this example. I was there was this young man. He's a little unruly. I called his mom. I said, you know, when he get out of hand, I won't call you about everything. I'm just grab him by his little ear and say, you know, you better get it under control. And if I can't get him under control, then I'll call you. Don't touch my son. Don't say nothing to him. If he's this, that, and the third, just call me. I don't know you and I don't trust you. But you trust me to have him in my care.
Yeah, because she wants free time.
Right.
Yeah, when it's benefiting her.
So the teachers ain't just saying something. They're not just assuming. This is what they're receiving.
okay. So to your point, is a village raising? You don't believe a village is there. I believe a village is there, and this is why I believe a village is there. One, you have the Urban League, who puts effort into helping kids get the opportunity. You have NAACP, who puts forth effort into helping with our kids.
Is that in
You
Portsmouth,
have
Virginia?
Yes.
Is
you
that in
have,
Newport
You
News?
have the 100 Black Men who mentor, help, also have mentoring programs similar to Big Brothers, Big Sisters. So there is a village that is established. Now, if everybody
villagers?
now, because you're seeing a mass flux of kids, now they can't be everywhere. Now, but
You named
the
three
organizations
organizations.
are there. That are there. I'm a member of the Urban League. I see the work that they put in. I'm not a
Where
member.
are they putting this work in
They're
at?
putting
I'm
in
not
work.
clear because my children and your children, no, I don't know if your children go to a predominantly black school. My children go to a Title I school,
Okay.
predominantly black. There's no Urban League up in my children's school. There's no 100 mentors. In fact, the only male I see running around that school is the janitor and the guy that sits at the
Okay,
front
so
desk.
now-
There are no men in that school.
So now, because you're not seeing it, doesn't mean it's not there. It is there.
Okay.
It is very prevalent. I'm a member.
I
know
have
it's
4
there.
children.
I understand
We
that.
have lived in
So,
Newport News,
I got it.
Virginia Beach, Norfolk, and now Chesapeake.
Okay,
And
so-
I'm gonna tell you, out of all these years, I've
So
only
NAACP
seen.
is not here.
I'm not saying it's not here.
Okay.
What I'm saying is
Urban
it's
League is
not
not
active enough that me living in 4
Now,
cities, they
but-
haven't been active in
but-
my children's life.
Okay, so now let's go back to if we say in the church, because I'm assuming you're a church member. We talked about it. You're a church member. You tithed at that church. How much effort has your tithing went into your church participating in the kids at the school?
My church is a different breed.
okay,
And
so-
let me explain why.
Okay.
Not that I'm making excuses, but the average person's age at my church is 80 and above.
But that's
So-
where you invest your time and,
And
you
I
invest
do.
your money.
I invest
Yet-
my time,
yet
my money.
We're right at the same point of the Urban League runs off of donations, but we don't donate to the Urban League because because we're donating to churches, we're donating to everything else. Yet we want a village to help raise, but yet the village that y'all say are not there, it's there. We're just not utilizing the resources. That is to the first point. Now to the point of the teachers. When we're talking about teachers, it is too many times where we believe that teachers should be raising our kids when the truth is the kids should be raised at home. I don't need the teachers to teach my kid. I need the teacher to give my kid the information, and I am to encourage my kids to figure it out, and I work with my child to reinforce what the teacher is putting out. But I don't send my kid to school in order to learn. They learn from the house. They learn from the parents. And then you go to school to reinforce some new ideas, some new philosophies, but it's not the teacher's responsibility to make sure your kid gathers the information. They pass information, you are there to reinforce the information, and then you send them back to school to gather more information. But we are too busy sending our kids off. We yell, go to college, yet we don't yell, you need to learn something. So we will pay $30,000, $40,000 a semester to go to a college, yet our kids don't obtain the information. They're going because somebody told them college is where they're supposed to be. Go to college. That's what you're supposed to do. But if you don't have the ability to learn because it's not enforced at home, why are we getting mad at teachers for passing on information but parents are not reinforcing? I don't need to go to a parent-teachers conference. You send me the information, I reinforce it at the house. I don't need the teachers to reinforce.
So I am guilty because I don't go to parent-teacher conference. I don't go to PCA meetings. And I don't meet my kids' teachers only because I don't have a problem with my kids in school. You know, he'll have a quarter of what you're saying as far as having information for the kids and them, you know, getting it reinforced. I feel that my kids do a good enough job in receiving what the teacher is putting out and coming home and doing it, and then we're making sure that they understand it. So therefore, I don't feel there's a need for me to go to parent-teacher conference unless there's a problem going on in that class, to which is I need to see the teacher. Now, I have the teacher's email, just like they have my email information. If there's something that we need to talk about in between times, hit me up. Let me know. If I have a problem with something that's going on with my child, I'm gonna hit you up. Hey, what's going on with such and such? I really don't see the need for parent-teachers conference because I'm looking at their grades. They're coming home with their grades. So there's no need for me to sit there and waste however much time sitting in your face for you to tell me what I already know before I got here. Now, if my child is getting good grades and they come home with a report card of F's and C's, then yeah, we need to talk, because what I just seen was A's and B's.
Well, here's my question. What does that portray to your child? Because think about this. When a child is bad or in trouble, when a child is in trouble and you show up to the school, you're concerned. But if the child is not in trouble and the teacher just want to tell you, kudos, great job, wonderful kid, but you're not at the school.
But that's not a child's perception. The child's perception is not that, oh, my teacher is going to tell my mom, kudos, great job, wonderful kid. A child's perception is, I wonder, get in trouble. Right.
But when you come home and
just because my child don't see me, but just because my child don't see me going up to their school or don't see me sending out that email, that don't mean that I'm not showing that I care or whatever. Because 9 out of 10 times when I do go up to that school, I'm finding out something, and that child is getting that butt tapped. So for that child, it might be not to go up to the school. I don't want you to go up to the school. You know, that's fine. Everything is fine. You know, don't ever go up to the school. You know, but for the most part, kids. I didn't want my mom going up to the school, but I knew I done did some stuff.
I didn't want nobody to come to the school for me either, because I was in trouble. But I want to hit on some things he said. What the children are learning today is not what I learned. And I'm going to tell you the truth. What the children are learning today, the math that they do, I can't figure it out. So I'm telling you, my 5th grader, I can't figure it out.
Okay.
You know, and the teacher's job is to teach. What their job is not to do is teach them the basics. What they're supposed to do is expound on what they already know. So each grade, what they're teaching gets a little bit more and a little bit more, getting them prepared for more learning each grade higher. Now, what I can do is look over it and say, this looks good, or read what I can read and go through it. But the math, for real, is nothing. And on top of that, I don't know where you was raised. I'm from the south side of Chicago. We are a very segregated city. I had all black teachers, majority, maybe one or two, or a few whites sprinkled in, and maybe a Mexican or a Puerto Rican or something like that, a Latino rather. But my teachers taught. My teachers was involved. They wanted to get in there and make sure you understand. Do you need it? Do you need any help? And from what I see, that is still what the teachers do. I believe as a parent, we're supposed to send our children to school ready to learn, with the capability of learning, and disciplined enough to sit through and write their notes or whatever they're supposed to do and follow direction.
And promote learning.
Okay.
It's not my job to teach them because I'm not, what they're learning is not what I learned.
Okay. So for that point, I would say ignorance is not an excuse not to teach. It's an opportunity to expound your knowledge. Because you don't know it doesn't mean you can't learn it. Now, we're in a different age. Now, that technique worked great for our parents who, when we went to school, if they were great grandparents, if their parents were sharecroppers, didn't graduate to 4th grade, didn't leave the 4th grade, and then you're trying to learn 12th grade math, that's a logical philosophy. Like, I don't know. Great. But today, with as much information as out there, there is no excuse for anybody not to know anything. Because, hold on, just like any show that you can go on, you can pull up YouTube, you can pull up any type of information that you need, and you can learn math. You can pull up any math problem on YouTube, it'll walk you down the line. But you have to be involved with your child, and y'all both have to learn it together so that both y'all can be on the same wavelength. That is just my opinion. Everybody has their own opinion, but
Everybody's children.
I have children, yes.
And they're in school
Yes.
in Virginia.
I have a senior in high school.
I just want to be clear on this because
We don't have that much time left.
Okay.
And we would like to say thank you for joining us.
yes,
Thank you for having me.
we got way off topic, which was the young lady in Florida,
Right.
but
Well, it kind of goes hand in hand.
it does go hand in hand as far as the education system, the parents, the way we send our children to school, and the village being a part of the children. As our wonderful guest said, we have, what are the 4 or 3, the organizations you named?
No, we have the Urban League, the NAACP, the 100 Black Men. There's a host
These
of
are in
organizations.
all the different cities, states, or
This
whatever?
is in the Hampton Roads area.
Okay,
Yes.
just in case we have people
And-
outside of the...
Right. No, this is in multiple states, multiple cities.
So these, what he's trying to get at is that these opportunities, these organizations are here for you. So if you didn't know then, now you know, reach out, get any assistance you may need. The young lady in Florida, we send our deepest sympathies and condolences to you and your family on your loss. And thank you for tuning in. Des, will you come back again?
Of course.
Thank you. Have a good day, everyone. Table Talk.